Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of In the Crease. I'm here with Bob Nelson, and before we get started, we want to take this opportunity, since this is the first show of the new year, to wish all of you a very happy, prosperous, safe, and healthy 2025. Bob, your holidays go well?
Yeah, it went pretty well.
Santa treat you well?
Yeah, he was okay.
I see you got you that nice shirt.
Yeah, he
That's
got me
pretty
a
good.
couple nice shirts.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good deal.
It's always a good deal when you get hockey jerseys for the holidays.
This is true. Hey, we got a whole lot to talk about, but before we get into some meat and potatoes, let's start off with a tie-over, if you will, from the last show. On the last show, we were talking about the World Juniors, and one of the things we talked about that kind of encompassed the whole show was the four-nation face-off tournament that's coming up next month. And Bob was expressing his chagrin over the fact that Czechoslovakia, well, I guess they're not Czechoslovakia anymore, they're Czech. They were not admitted into the thing, and you thought this was a great injustice. So we go to the World Juniors, and wow.
Yeah.
You think they're a favorite country in Canada right now? I mean, that was mighty damn embarrassing. And even, one of my faves, Don Cherry, went on a rant. And I mean, it was typical Don Cherry. I think he's like me. He's semi-retired, so he doesn't do a whole lot more anymore. But he came out of the woodwork for this thing, and he just excoriated. And if you listen to what he said, I understand. Cherry he believes hockey is Canada and nothing else. And you have to take that into consideration. But, some of the things he said make an awful lot of sense.
You know why that team was picked?
What do you mean?
They picked character players on that team, Canada. They didn't pick all the skilled players. And some of the elite guys decided they didn't want to go and play there because for a couple reasons. One, with that smoke screen over top of the World Juniors from years ago.
Yeah.
They picked a bunch of kids that weren't going to mess up in Canada because the tournament was in Ottawa.
And so that's what you mean by character.
Yes, they picked a lot of kids that they knew weren't going to get in trouble, and they might have not picked the most talented team.
They didn't last long.
And then plus, once their star got injured when he rammed himself into the goalpost, It was all downhill from there. But I believe that team was picked more or less not to embarrass the country again. And I'm actually, surprised because they kept Russia out of this tournament.
Yep.
With this thing going over Team Canada, why wasn't Team Canada left out of this? Because this is a major deal in hockey, especially U18.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're leaving the Russians out, these kids, they're not fighting the war.
Right.
If you're leaving Team Russia out of this, Canada did as bad. I mean, okay, that poor girl that has to go through with this, bringing this brought up into a court of law now coming up. I guess the case is going to be, 25, 26 now, the trial for these hockey players.
Yeah.
Why was Canada invited?
Yeah, I see the point you're making, but that's a good point. Even that, I don't think anyone expected Team Canada to exit that tournament that fast.
Oh, I do.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, with this fog over their head, and they were under a lot of restraints and restrictions and things of that nature. There was no more alum parties for these kids and things like that.
Yeah.
And, they usually roll out the red carpet for the royalty U18
usually.
Team Canada, and there was not a lot of festivities going on to celebrate Team Canada.
Well, you wanted to make some comments about the USA-Finland game, too.
I mean, I really thought it was a good game. I really thought the tournament was pretty mediocre at best to play. I mean, I thought the best game in the whole tournament, besides the gold medal game, was when Latvia upset Team Canada, and they did it because of the goaltender. I mean, the goalie, what did he have, 52 out of 54 saves or something?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy just played out of this world against a team that should have probably beat him. If they play that game 10 times, they probably would have beat him 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Just that one day that hot goalie came, and it's a shame they didn't have a legitimate backup because the next day, I believe they played Team USA, and Team USA stuck it to them pretty bad.
Yeah.
But this tournament's getting pretty bad because the elite U18 players not playing in it anymore. I mean, a bunch of the guys are already playing in the NHL. They decided they weren't going to play in this tournament.
Well, that makes sense. I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, it used to be a big deal.
It was a big deal, and I enjoyed watching it. In fact, I remember the one time I was watching it with Mike, and man, this goaltender from Russia just stood on his head, and I said, "Wow, we got to watch all those." And even though some of the games were on at goofy times, and now he's backstopping for the Tampa Bay Lightning, So,
Yeah.
but I mean, he was just amazing back then.
And to me, I hate to say this, instead of having the Olympics, it should be these teams playing in the Olympics.
Yes, I would agree with that. Instead of
because-
letting the pros go.
Correct.
Yes, I've
because
always
to
thought
me,
that.
this is what the game is built from.
Yeah,
Superstars that come out of this. The year that Connor Bedard had for Team Canada.
yeah,
You go back to Crosby playing the World Junior, Fleury playing the
Yep.
World Junior. I mean that made these guys from here to here, and that's what still made the 1980 Olympics so great. And it was hilarious getting back to the 80 Olympic team real quick. A story that finally came out of the woodwork why Team USA upset the Russians. It was because the Russian hockey players, so-called, were out with the Russian women figure skating team
What, the night before?
the night before. This finally came out of the woodwork. They're finding all these different ways to make a reason why, USA could beat a team like Russia. But
Yeah,
the bottom line was the reason why USA beat Russia was Tradiak got benched.
Yes,
If Tradiak
yes.
does not leave that net,
Yes.
I don't care how long over that team is,
Yes.
they still beat them.
That was a coaching error that
Yes.
caused that
That
loss.
almost cost the coach's
and
life.
being
probably.
out with the figure skaters, that's
No,
supposed
that's
to improve
normal.
your eye. What the hell?
That's normal hockey
That's
etiquette.
right. That's right.
But I thought that was pretty funny because someone had a podcast that I ran into, and they were making a big deal about it. And of course, I had to answer like, no. The reason they lost that game was they pulled the best goalie in the
In
world,
the world, yeah. Yeah,
benched
put
him
on
in the
bench.
second period.
Yeah, that was a mistake. So that's the World Juniors there, and that's the strength of Czech, I guess, coming in. They really surprised everybody in there, and Bob liked the last game. I think it was kind of a blowout, but
That was overtime.
oh, that game, yes,
Yeah, the
okay,
gold medal
I
game
know
was
which one you mean.
overtime.
Okay,
and,
gotcha.
and again, I thought it was pretty, not boring, but it was almost like two intelligent people playing chess. Neither team wanted to make a mistake. And
Yeah.
To me, I thought the young guys, a little bit more Michigans, a little bit more run and gun, and I wouldn't have expected it to be that neutralized both teams.
Yeah. Well, I guess it says something about the tournament when the best thing to come out of it was Don Cherry's rant afterwards. That was actually pretty good. Hey, we want to move on to a new topic, Block 2 here. I have a question. I've been following the goalie stats. I always do that. And just to see the scope of the game so much, not so much the scope of the netminders, but, the question has to be asked, when are the Pens, our local team here, actually going to try to find somebody in net? Now, this morning, there was a rumor floating around that there was going to be a 1-to-1 deal, get rid of Tristan Jarry for John Gibson. Those rumors that pop up, you got to take them with a grain of salt.
Correct.
I don't think Anaheim would make that deal.
No, after Gibson just got his how many wins?
Yeah, 200 wins.
200 wins in Anaheim.
So-
Playing on a team that's been pretty,
Mediocre.
at best.
Yes, at
Yes.
best. So the question is, what do the Pens do, and when are they going to finally realize Jarry and crew are not the guys? They need to find somebody in nets to help out what we were talking about the last show. These older guys have a last shot at the playoffs.
Well, here's the biggest problem. First of all, you have, when you called up Bloomquist for that little stint there,
Yeah.
he couldn't even beat out Nadalkovich as the backup, and he's your goalie of the future.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you have, if you want to take a step back and we'll go to the East Coast affiliate. They have a Russian goalie, which I was there on New Year's Eve, and I got to see a local kid play there. Dalton Hunter actually got called up for the game. The Penguins organization in Wheeling only has 3 guys from the whole organization playing in Wheeling. Now, this is their East Coast affiliate. 2 goalies and 1 defenseman. That's all they have in the East Coast affiliate. So all their prospects are in Wilkes-Barre now.
Yeah.
Their best goalie in their system is playing in front of a bunch of independent hockey players from either other organizations or free agents. Wheeling's having a really great year. This goalie in Wheeling, and I can't think of his name now, he's like 12-2 for the Wheeling Nailers. So you have him, you have Bloomquist, and you have Nedeljkovic, and you have Jari. That's your goaltending depth.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have another guy in Wheeling that's Penguins property. I think the backup is not the Penguins property. And if he is, he's probably not that good.
So should they be looking to trade?
They definitely need to be looking to trade. Here's the problem, though. The only thing the Penguins have to trade are draft picks. And they don't have a lot of draft picks. And they don't have a lot of prospects. So what are you doing? What are you going to get?
Yeah.
You know, Anaheim's not going to trade Jari straight up for Gibson.
Yeah, that's not even close.
Not happening.
Yeah.
Even though they both one time were 1 year all-star goalies. Just, you're not trading apples for apples here.
Right.
So are the Penguins willing to give up someone? And is it going to be a guy like Russ, which you're going to take out of your pluses to try to hope to get a plus back?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of good goalie depth in the NHL. When you look at the save percentage, you look at the goals against average, you look at all these goalies. I mean, the Rangers supposedly had the best goaltending tandem in the NHL, and look how bad the Rangers have been playing.
That's true. But their net minding is not their problem.
No, definitely not their problem.
Right.
But do you think the Rangers want to give up a guy like Jonathan Quick?
Oh, hell no.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they'd be even worse.
so the team that has depth,
Yeah.
they're not willing to trade unless you overpay for someone.
Yeah.
And the Penguins are not in a position to overpay someone. So you're either going to get another guy like a goalie in Columbus who's no better than what you have,
Elvis. Yeah.
or you're going to get a goalie from Detroit who gets no better than what you have,
Mrazek, yeah.
or you're going to get a goalie in Edmonton that's no better than what you have.
Maybe worse.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So the Penguins might as well just stay with Jari until his contract run out because they're the idiots that signed him that long term.
Well, that's a long way to wait for the playoffs. But let's do this because we get a lot of emails from irate Penguin fans when we talk about them. But I know you wanted to take a little time off to talk about Sid because he hit a couple of milestones.
He hit a couple of really important milestones. One of them, I didn't know they kept actually stats. Sid just passed Bergie in Boston, which I'm sure you're happy to hear that.
He's retired now.
Yeah, but he passed all-time face-off wins, which I didn't know was a category. Coming to Sid's career, when he first started playing the center position, he was pretty bad at taking draws.
Yeah.
He was below 50%.
Well, wasn't he working with Ronnie Francis for a while?
Working with Francis for a while.
I mean,
working with
Francis
anyone.
knew how to win a face-off.
So you got to tip your hat to Sid on that.
Yeah.
And he also just passed Mario on the all-time assist leads for the Pittsburgh Penguins,
Yeah.
which, again, longevity. I mean, again, I think Sid's probably one of the best in the Penguins organization all time. But if you take Mario's games played and you take Sid's games played, just like I'm going to tell you when everyone says how great Letang is, well, Coffey had the scoring record for defensemen in Pittsburgh. He didn't play a whole lot of games there to have that record. And it took Letang a long time to pass it.
Yeah.
The same I'm going to say for Sid. I mean, to me on Mount Rushmore, Sid's probably the third or best Penguin ever put on the jersey. I still think Lemieux and Coffey and Yager are ahead of Sid right now. And it's not dogging Sid. I just think that highly of those 3 players ahead of him.
Sure.
And I'm not saying Barrasso and Fleury aren't too far behind him.
And Yager's still playing. He
Correct.
just lost 2 teeth the other day.
Yes.
Yeah. So
But, tip
Kudos.
your hat to Sid. I mean, he's putting up points. He's still, in my opinion, even though everyone says how great McDavid is, Sid's still the real deal. He's still the guy who got the lit torch in front of the pack.
Well, see, that was such a great segue because that brings us right into C block on the show. All right, so let me start this off. I have always stated that I think Ovechkin is a much better player than Crosby. And
In the
when
defensive
people
zone, huh?
when people wait, your turn's coming. When people would say, "Why do you say that?" I say because Ovechkin can do something Sid can't, and that is take total control of a game and win it for his team. And I've
getting
seen
money
him
off of Putin.
do it many times before. Mario could do it. Ovechkin can do it. Sid can't do that, okay? So here's Ovi going after Gretzky's record. It looks like he's going to have it as a wrap this season.
Hope not.
He breaks
Hope
his
not.
leg, all right? He comes back from a broken leg faster than any athlete in any other sport I've ever seen, and he's back on a
I
tear
guess
again.
Russian steroids are pretty good.
So he might be doing the Ivan Drago thing. I don't know, but
listen.
all I got to say is I think he is definitely the premier player in the league, and obviously Bob does not agree.
Listen, first and foremost, there's 3 zones to a hockey rink. There's a neutral zone,
Yep,
there's an offensive zone,
Yep.
and a defensive zone.
yep.
Let's talk about Sid Crosby.
Okay,
He covers all 3 zones very well.
okay,
Okay, let's cover Ovechkin.
Okay.
There's a little place on the left side of the rink in the offensive zone around the face-off
just
circle.
outside the house.
Just right there.
Yes.
That's the only zone that Ovechkin dominates at. And these NHL defensemen and these forwards that should be covering him, whether it's on the power play or even strength, all they got to do is stay a stick length in front of him, and he would never score another goal as long as he plays.
Oh my God!
First of all, he's slow.
Ah.
He's fat.
He's old.
He's out of shape. He looks like he's 80.
Oh man!
He doesn't play defense.
Wow.
And he's going to get a record that he doesn't deserve.
Okay. Let's put an analogy here.
And he has 1 cup. And you know why he got that cup? Because the coach forced him to play defense. The next year, he was no longer the coach because Ovechkin had to have it his way. And he will never see another cup except for the coffee cup that he drinks in the morning with his Geritol. He is one of the worst hockey players ever played because he's a cherry picking no one.
And we said before the camera started rolling, I said, well, I compared him to Espo. Espo would get his skates and he'd dig 2 grooves right in the middle of the house. And he'd just stand there and go like this.
As Phil Esposito would get cross-checked,
Yep.
hit upside the head
Couldn't
with no
move him.
helmet.
Couldn't move him. Couldn't
He
move
earned
him.
those goals.
Yeah, he
Ovechkin,
did. Yeah, he
just
did.
put a body on him, and he'll never shoot the puck again.
Well, here's the deal. Here's the way I look at it. Let's get out of hockey and go to boxing for an analogy, okay? Let's say I'm a boxer. Let's say there is a boxer, and all he has is a right jab. That's it. He only has a right jab.
So you're talking about Mike Tyson.
Whatever. So he comes out in the ring and all he does is boom, 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 and he wins. Now, everybody who goes against this boxer knows he's got 1 punch. He's got a right jab. That's it, okay? They know what he does. He knows that they know, and he says, I'm going to hit you with it anyway, and he does, and he wins. That's not a knock against that boxer.
Well, here's your
That's
analogy. Here's your analogy, okay? You're telling me he has one thing, right?
You said he has the corner.
Ovi has 1 ring, right?
Okay.
How many does Sid have?
Oh,
How
no,
many
here
does
we
Sid
go
have?
with the rings
3,
again. No,
right?
no, I don't
And
buy
you know
this
I hate
argument.
the Penguins. You know I hate the
I know
Penguins.
you do.
But
I
it's
know
not
you do.
even close.
I do
Sid
not
Ovechkin,
buy that
it's not-
argument.
I don't even know.
People in football make the same thing. Well, how many Super Bowls did he win?
I don't even
Screw
know.
that,
I don't
because
even
that's
know
not
if
important.
Ovechkin's better
there
than
are
Malkin.
better players right, in the past and
I
even now
don't
that
even
never
know.
won a Super Bowl but are still better
I
players
don't
than
even
the
know
ones
if
that did.
Ovechkin's better than Malkin.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, let those 2 settle it out.
Jeez.
I hope he breaks the record. I hope he breaks
I hope
Gretzky's
he
record.
breaks something, but it
And
ain't the record.
And I'll bet you when he does, the first one to congratulate him is going to be Gretzky.
You and Putin.
Gretzky will
Well,
be
yeah,
there.
you know why Gretzky will do it? Because he's class. But
Yes,
he's sitting back
he is.
he's sitting back in the studio going, he wouldn't have broke that record when I was playing. He would have been in the hospital.
What if, shoulda, coulda,
listen,
would be there.
Bobby Clark would have took care of him.
Oh, jeez.
Bobby Clark
you
and
had
the
to throw the
Flyers
Flyers in there.
would have took care of those Russians.
You have no argument, so you're resorting to the Flyers
I have
now.
a lot of arguments.
By the way, the Flyers released a statement this morning. They want to build a new stadium.
They do want to build a new stadium.
And why is that, and should they?
Why do you think they want to build a new stadium? It's all about money.
What's wrong with the old stadium?
It's old. And we can make more money at the new one.
Well, end of that subject. So you're for a new stadium? You go to Philadelphia a lot. What do you think of the stadium?
It's okay. It's no different than any other rink, because all these rinks are now, they look like corporate buildings. They don't look like hockey rinks.
Well, that's true.
They don't look like the old igloo or the old barn or the old. No, they modern technology. It's hard to get around. The seats are cramped.
Yeah.
The visibility's not great in most of the facilities.
Yeah.
No,
wait, you talking about the new ones or the old ones?
The
both. Visibilities? Oh,
both.
Even in the new ones?
I feel the new build, like you go to PPG and you sit up top.
Yeah.
And you're a big guy.
Yeah.
I'm a small guy and I get cramped.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and the elevation of the rinks, they should go to Toronto and look at Toronto's rink.
Yeah.
They should go to Montreal and look at their rink, because when you're up in the balconies in those rinks, it's almost like you're looking over the ice. You got a great
overhead view. Yeah.
It's steep.
Yeah.
And I know people don't like that.
It's like that way in Columbus too.
You know,
they're steep.
But you know, they want all these new rinks because they feel they can get more private boxes in there.
Yeah.
Make more money there.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about corporate now. It's not about the typical hockey fan. That's why I have DirecTV to watch hockey.
Yeah.
So I don't have to go to the rinks, because, you know, take you and your wife out. Got to take her to either get food or dinner, parking. That's as much as I'm buying my wife for Christmas.
Yeah, well, hell, more sometimes. Yeah,
You know?
Yeah. And, you know, on that thing, I got a tip of the hat to the Utah club because they did something, and I understand they're an expansion team and they haven't built up their fan base
Utah? Yeah, they should be in Quebec. But
Utah. Yeah, but they did something kind of neat. This week they announced that if you buy tickets in the upper tier to go see their game, the tickets are going for $10 each, and with the $10, you get a free hot dog and drink. Who could turn that down?
Let's go to Utah.
Yeah, that's
Hockey
a damn
rink
good deal.
hot dogs are pretty good.
I know. So, you know, and we were talking off camera about how at one time you couldn't get a ticket for a Penguin game.
We could probably
Now
go to
you can.
Utah and pick up our flights and still be cheaper than going to the arena.
There you go. Yeah,
Seriously.
yeah. I hear you. I understand you.
And that's a shame.
I think that's a pretty good deal. And
That's
I
a
think,
very good
you know,
deal for their fans.
The Pens, instead of sitting back saying that we don't, our fan base, blah blah, you know, try
You know,
throwing a deal like that and see what
shoulda-
you can do.
You should have thought about doing that in Arizona
Yes.
before they had to move to the college rink.
Yeah. You're right.
Because my opinion
You're
is
right.
this, and this goes back to, if you have a struggling organization and you want to make money and you want to make your team, you know, serviceable, so you don't have to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy like a lot of hockey teams have done.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be better to sell your tickets cheaper and get everyone in the building? Because if they come in the building, if they bring a kid, they're gonna buy a souvenir.
Sure.
They're gonna buy a pop. They're gonna buy popcorn.
Sure.
They're gonna buy nachos. So okay, you got to give up something to get something. Like when
Right.
I sell hockey equipment to an organization, I'm giving you pucks at a great price because I want your team uniforms. I want your team bags. I want your players to shop at my place.
Sure.
So you give away the pucks just like selling baseball gear. You give away baseball to get the uniform business.
Right.
And these hockey teams just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
They don't want to give up their little profit.
It's not good marketing.
No, it's bad marketing.
Yeah, it's very
but
bad
then
marketing.
then if you do it that way, then you piss off your season ticket holders.
Yeah.
You know, because
understand.
for a long time, the season ticket holders in Pittsburgh were pissed off with the college student rush program.
Yeah.
College student, you have ID, you get a
It
same
was like
ticket
a
that I'm paying.
$25.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm paying the same ticket if it's empty.
Yeah.
I'm paying $150 for that ticket that
Yeah.
you're buying for $25.
Yeah. Class warfare in hockey. Wow.
Yep.
So I want to mention a little something here. It's not really a topic that we have to go into, but some weeks ago I was watching the ABC game of the week, and I believe it was the Rangers and the Flyers. And although the Rangers dominated, and it turned out to be one of those games that I hate. It's what I call a Bettman game. It was like they were playing without goaltenders, which was odd since they, had their top guys in the net. And it ended up like a 7-5 game or some kind of nonsense like that. But the thing that got me was they're showing the game, and toward the end of the game, the teams really started going at one another. The Flyers were really pushing. They wanted this win. And the Rangers were battling to keep their lead. And all of a sudden, with 2 minutes left, they cut the game off. And they went to Andrew Stocky to talk about the Steeler playoff game. Ladies and gentlemen, this happened at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The Steelers game was at 8 o'clock that evening. I don't know what goes through the heads of Steeler fans, but you need to check yourself, son, because if you need 5 hours of prep ahead of a game to realize and know what you're watching, there's something seriously wrong with you.
Here's the
2
issue.
minutes left in the game, and they cut it off, and I see Andrew Stocky talking about a game that not even...
But here's the problem, though. That just tells you what I've been telling you, and you've probably been saying since we've done this show. Hockey is a fourth-class sport.
It's treated that way.
It's treated that way.
Yeah.
And they just proved to you
Yep.
that you'd rather watch a pre- or post-game Steeler guy that doesn't even cover the team, he's
Yep.
just a sports guy,
Yep.
than watching the last 2 minutes that could have been
A close game.
a close game.
Yeah. Yep.
Or it could have been a bench-clearing brawl that you'd miss.
Yep.
Or, could have went to overtime.
Yep.
Because and the NHL paid for that.
Yeah.
To be taken off the air. The last 2 minutes that they paid for got taken off the air because they have no control and no power over that network that shows their game.
That was ABC. That was Disney.
If I was ABC and I was Gary Bettman, I would have blasted ABC for that.
Yep.
And I would have been like, you need to compensate me for that last 2 minutes, which that game should have been aired.
Yes. I agree totally. That was a waste. The only
But
other
that's
thing
Gary
I want
Bettman
to...
squatting the pee.
Yeah, you're right. I couldn't have said it better. The only thing I want to say real quick, too, in the last couple of minutes here is this was a story we wanted to talk about on the last show but never got around to, and that is this super fan in Toronto who was blasted. If you haven't seen this thing actually made a big hoop on Rebel News, which is a news organization out of Canada.
There's a super fan in Toronto?
There is, and this guy is he's over the
Does
edge.
he have a rubber room?
Yeah, and it's everything with the Maple Leafs.
How
Is
about a
everything.
straight jacket?
Yeah, everything. And if you haven't seen the story, the Toronto team found one of his posts online, and they shut him down. And the reason was not because he's a fan. Good Lord knows they need fans. It was because in the video, he's drinking a beer that is a local beer to where he lives in Canada, and it's not the official beer sponsored by the team. So they shut him
Which
down.
I think is Molson or Labatt. It might be Labatt's. 'cause
Whatever.
Molson's in Montreal, and I think Labatt's
And
in
I couldn't believe, and fans were outraged.
all they
and
needed to
everything.
do, there's a thing called you could black it out,
Yeah, or
could-
blur it.
blur it.
No, didn't do anything like that at all.
Or what they should
Just
do to
cause
the
the guy
poor guy,
grief.
if the Maple Leafs had some class, they should have sent a case of beer to him for him to drink
use
it
this.
while he's doing his podcast or whatever.
Hello, and once again we come back to marketing. These
Yes.
teams don't know marketing worth.
No, you got a guy doing free
Shinola.
advertising for you.
Yes, exactly right. Hey, I'd love to talk more hockey to you. We wanted to talk about female announcers, but we'll hold that for the next show because we are fast out of time. On behalf of Bob Nelson, Dave Cable back in the control room, and myself, remember, when you're in the game, you're in the crease.
No, another reason if you play long enough, you're going to break records like that rusty old bum in Washington. I hope he breaks his leg so he doesn't break Gretzky's record.
All right, let's get this going. We should have had the cameras running for that. We could have ran credits over it.